Hey, what's going on, guys? In this video, I'm going to do my best to break down box fighting and hopefully create a beginner's guide on how to box fight. If you find this video to be helpful, or if you would like to see more content like this, then please consider subscribing to my channel and liking this video. Anyway, let's get into this tutorial. Okay, so the first thing that I think that anyone should understand when it comes not just to box fighting, but to fighting in Fortnite in general, is like the mechanics of the game. And I'm not talking about the mechanics that you do, but like the actual mechanics of Fortnite itself. So in this case, kind of what I'm talking about, so like if I came here and I just grabbed, I don't know, a shotgun and some ammo. So when you look at this, my crosshair is in the exact center of my screen. That's like the perfect center. So what I'm aiming at is in the center of my screen at all times. But if you look, my character is on the left side of my screen. It's not exactly in the center. You know, my head's not in the crosshair. Like if you played Minecraft in the third person, you had the crosshair on, it's right in the head. Fortnite's not like that. It's a little more over the shoulder than third person. It's like a mix of the both. So if the crosshair's in the middle, then the gun is also closer to the middle than the character is, which means that I have a right hand peek. That my gun is on the right side of my character. And so what this means is that there are certain ways that are more optimum to fight than others. So what I've learned is that if this was like a clock, and you go clockwise and then counterclockwise, then the more optimal way to be pushing is counterclockwise, because when you're pushing counterclockwise, you're always going to have that right hand peek. What I'm saying is, when you're pushing counterclockwise, you have a better view of what's in front of you, and so you're kind of, it's more of an offensive direction. Like you're able to, so if I'm standing right here and my opponent's right there, I grab him, I put him exactly where I'm standing, basically, like right there. And I go to where this guy is standing. You know, I can see him, but he can see me. But I'm able to get this angle on him, you know, way earlier than he's able to see me. I can shoot him, and he's, you know, I was standing halfway in that guy's body. I can kind of barely see the outline of him. And so this makes it to where when you're pushing counterclockwise, it's more optimum. But if you are, you know, in some scenarios you're forced to have to go clockwise, there's a way to work around this. So I've heard Fortnite described. I mean, obviously it's a shooter game. There's guns and there's shooting, but it's similar, or it's like a medieval combat game where you have a sword and a shield and a bow and arrow. And so a bow and arrow would be like your long range, mid range weapons, so your AR and your sniper. Your close range, your sword would be like your shotgun, your SMG, maybe a pistol if you're carrying that. And then your shield is actually your building. And so the way it works is when you're fighting in medieval combat, you would swing your sword, or you'd shoot your bow, and then you'd put up your shield to protect yourself from any attacks. And so that's how clockwise works. So, you know, you shoot, and then you place your shield above you to protect from their attack. But when you're pushing clockwise, you gotta be a little more cautious because you're more exposed. So if I'm coming around this way, you know, like if I move these guys, so if I put this one over, you know, let's just put him there, and I put one, you know, he's moving around this way. Like this one and that one, and so I'm coming around. He's gonna see me. Like if I'm here, I can basically see this guy. So he was a little bit more. I see him, but from this, I can't see anything past this wall. And even if I can see him, I can't shoot him. You know, I could be looking directly at him, but it's at this point that I see him. I'm fully exposed to him at this point. He completely sees where I am and what I'm looking at. And so what this means is that when you're pushing clockwise, rather than swinging your sword or shooting your bow and then placing your shield, you actually put your shield up to protect from their attack, and then you go and then you shoot. And so that's how you would, you know, push in different directions. So now that's just like small things with box fighting, and that's kind of that leads into peaks. So when you're editing a wall, you kind of want to be able to take that, shoot, and you know, I'm doing really bad at this, but and have that right hand advantage. So there's an edit called the peanut butter edit, which is basically this top right corner, 1, 2, 3, right, where you're really protected. And what you should do when you do this is, rather than just jump up and shoot, jump up to the left and shoot. Your more of your body's covered by this wall, but your gun still sticks out. And so that's like one of the safest edits to do in the game, because it works with the momentum of the jump, it works with the angle of the character's gun and the character's head, and so it really protects you very well as an offensive edit or even a defensive edit. And so kind of understanding right hand peeks and where the gun is and how your character's motion and movement and everything works, and translate that into edits and how you're going to do things. You know, this obviously is so much safer peeking through this than peeking through this. You're completely exposed. Even if you were here, you're still like kind of open. So just knowing different kinds of edits that you should be doing is kind of the first key of that. So try to always edit on this side, and when you do, you know, it's like when you're in this ring, you know. I'm actually only pressing W and D, or you're moving kind of upwards and right. So it's the same thing with this. I'm kind of going upwards and right, shoot, and then I reset. And that's all you gotta do. You just move in the same angle. Or if you're going this way, you come around, you know, try to not, if it's just a wall and you're fighting right in front of each other, there's no need to come on from this side. You're completely exposed now. Unless if you're here, okay, that makes more sense. But still, you're really exposed. It's not as safe. So stay on that side all the time. Okay. So with that in mind, and with an understanding of peaks and right hand angles, let's actually talk about fighting. So in most sports, there's an offense and there's a defense. And it's the same in Fortnite. I'm going to talk about offense real quickly, and then I'll get into defense after that. So when you're on the offense and you're a defensive player in the box fight, you're W keying, you're pushing. Your primary goal is to trap your opponent and then to outplay them. So get them boxed up, get them to where they don't have control, or get them to where they're kind of like freaking out and they don't know what to do. And then that provides a really easy kill for you, the offensive player. And so some ways that you could do that is let's box up, you know, an opponent. And I don't have one of these streams. I actually hate using these, but okay. So here's the guy. He's in his box. He's all protected, right? And most of the time, they're probably not exactly in the center, but we'll just say there are. So the first step to any fight is you want to be able to get some of their builds, because right now, when they have everything, even though you're pushing them, they're technically the offensive player because they're going to be making all the plays. As long as he owns this wall, he's the one that's editing on you and shooting you, and you got to be ready. So your first thing, you got to be able to quickly take that wall. That's easier on lower ping. I have like mid ping. And if you have higher ping, it's going to be harder to take that. There's ways around it. So if you have higher ping, rather than trying to take the wall, maybe get in their box. And this is a little dangerous, a little more, you know, kind of like call it psychopath play, where you're kind of actually like, you're risking taking a 50-50. But I'm sure some of you have seen this. So basically, you know, a wooden wall is 2 hits. So you go 1, 2, it's down. So with this ramp, you go 1, and lose the time up perfectly. You jump and pickaxe, and you're in. And even if he's holding this turbo build, this dude right here, he's holding this turbo build to try to keep you out, you're still going to jump in. You're still going to make it in here. But don't just take this 50-50 and you're like, hello, because he probably has his gun out too. As soon as you jump in, you know, place the stair. So to place the stair, you saw I just did there. I looked down and actually placed behind this. I don't know if it's the creative map or Fortnite in general. Look up though. It's always safer to look up when you place these stairs. So now he's behind this, and now you can like, you know, outplay him and shoot him like that. And that's the safest thing to do, you know, if you have a higher ping. But in general, you want to try to take their builds. You know, there's always some way to, you can outplay them, kind of trick them, and, you know, pickaxe this wall, and then come back to this wall, you know, and take that. And then when you take their wall, you could just do, you know, that peanut butter that we talked about before. But it's actually better, you know, the most important aspect I think in Fortnite right now, at least from what I'm seeing by pros and by just every good player, is piece control. Being able to put them into an awkward spot, you know, and own them. So when you place this wall, you don't only have piece control on them, because he owns, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. If he has a cone, that's 5 pieces that you don't own. You have this wall. So what you should do is place either a ramp in there and edit it back on them, or place a cone. I like to place a cone. This is something that I don't know if I came up with, but something that I try to do a lot in my box fights, if I can trap them. You know, obviously his head's sticking out a little bit, but in a real game he'd be trapped under a cone. So if he's in the center of his box, or towards the center of the area, you cone him in, and then you shift yourself to this right side, so you have this protection of the right hand peak, right? You edit this front tile towards you, and shoot. And even if you don't kill him right away, you can just reset them as fast as you can, and now you have the health advantage. Now don't go for the edit again. After taking the first shot, he's still alive. Edit the back one, and then come down and shoot. And the reason why I think that this works so good is because even though, you know, he owns 1, 2, 3 walls and the floor. You know, if you shot him, if you maybe went like this, shot the guy for 100, say he was 200 health. At this point now, you just shot him and say, okay, that was terrible, I'm gonna leave now. Don't let him do that. So when you cone him and then you shoot him, where's he gonna go? He can edit out this, but that's right towards you. So he's not gonna do that. He's not gonna come out this way. He's kind of trapped here. He's under his box. He can't go up. He can't go to that wall. He can't go to that wall. He's stuck there. He's perfectly exposed. He has no cover whatsoever. Easy shot, easy kill. That's something I like to do. But let's talk about piece control really quickly. So you're also able to predict their kind of movements, right? So if he's coming up here, you know, I have a hard time doing this. I'm just trying to get in the habit. You can place cones to the side, right? And floors too, same thing. From a certain spot, you look to a certain direction, you can place it. So maybe you, I did not mean to shoot him. Maybe you took his wall and then did a Mongo classic body shot, then reset the wall to protect yourself. Okay, now he's at, let's maybe 100 HP, and he's like, oh, that was bad. Now he's leaving, right? So he's like, okay, I'm gonna place this. He didn't really notice that he didn't actually place those. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. Either way, it might be too late for him, because at this point, as soon as you heard him edit out, you box up, 1, 2, 3. You know, you go, kind of mess it up there. You go 1, 2, 3, place that, edit down, shoot. He's dead. That piece control is the key. Like I said, that's the key in Fortnite. You do it with both sides. If he comes out either side. And if you can actually catch him early enough, though, then you actually might be better off, because if there's a box like this, okay, and you placed your floor and that, and as soon as he edits this, you know, you have to kind of judge his movements. You know, maybe you can kind of see through this wall. You just reset it. Oh, he's moving this way now. As fast as you can. 1, 2, place walls, then the stair. Now he's completely trapped. He's in your box now, and now he's on the defensive more than ever, because he's lower, he's got no control, and he's dead. And so that's kind of the key. And so real quickly, from a defensive angle, if this happens to you, if you know you hear him place these, don't edit out the sides, edit out the back. That's the safest. And actually, go for height maybe too, because now you know. He's going for here, maybe you want, you know, now you have height on him, and that's how you can turn around from a defensive perspective. But on that note of defensive perspective, let's kind of get into defense real quickly. Alright, so we have a pretty good basic understanding of what it's going to take to be an offensive player in a box fight. So now let's talk about the defensive. So if you're on the defensive side of a box fight, you'll probably play more passive and a little smarter. You'll probably want to be able to outplay your aggressor in order to secure the kill. Since usually when you're on the defensive side, you're lower on health or in just a bad position, or maybe your opponent is better than you, and so it's kind of scared you, and so you went to a more defensive play style. So different scenarios that there would be is, like, first let me box myself up here. So if I'm boxed up and this is my box entirely, and my opponent, I'll just say his builds are going to be on brick for this example, there's different types of ways that people are going to push you. So a common one that I haven't seen too lately, but it's still pretty common, is people, rather than, you know, they're going to try to take your wall. Obviously what we talked about on offensive, that's like the first step that they probably want to do, is be able to have control of one of your builds. So if this was still mine, you know, they'd probably be up here trying to take this. And so we know that with the wood, it's going to take 1, 2. So a smart player that's on the offensive wouldn't just go 1, 2, as they know that when they take their first hit, when they take their first hit, right before they take their second, in this motion, that's maybe like 1 second long, they can't do anything. When they're swinging, they have to take out, it's just they're completely exposed. So while they're taking that second hit, I might go boom, dead. So what they might do is they might go, you know, let me take this wall real quickly. So they go 1, and then jump up, and then come down again, and 2. And so this is smart because they're preparing for anything, you know, preparing in case you decide to shoot them, and maybe you won't, but that is a good thing to try to do. But like we kind of talked about earlier, when you're on the offensive, if you're taking their wall, you can just take their wall and then shoot them, but you're kind of exposed for a second. So it's the same thing on defense. So if they're taking your wall, and let's say they hit it one time, and then you went like this, peanut butter edit. You're here, you're protected. They can't see you. Like there's no way, you're completely behind this wall. What you would actually do, and maybe they were smart and they placed a floor, place a cone them in. Now they're stuck. So even though they own this floor, if they try to jump out when you try to shoot them, they can't. And so then their next thing is probably going to go to one of the sides. So then, you're here, so you might want to place, a wall and just wall them in. Now they're in your box. They're not going anywhere. If you see, I actually placed a wall back there too. So while I was here, you just go 1, 2. And so you kind of expose yourself for a second, but right away you reset this wall right here. Now they're boxed up. The only thing they own and have against you is their ramp, but you have way more than that. You have them coned in, so they're probably gonna flip this and try to break out. And so that's pretty smart. I mean, because so if this was theirs and they're breaking out, this is brick. So even though they just edited it, like if we have a fully brick, hold on. As soon as you edit it, it's going to be kind of lower, so you can't actually just take it, an easy kill. But if you want to do something a little different, they edited that back on you. You could maybe go up this way and, take the kill. And so, those are, some easy things that you can just go down and they're exposed. The other way that they might try to do though, so let's box up again over here. They might be doing the same thing, but maybe they didn't place a ramp. Maybe they're just completely exposed. They're really exposed to third party. So if you're ever on the offensive, I do not recommend ever trying to take your opponent's wall like this, just because you can be sniped from somewhere, lasered by someone. You're completely in the open right now. So don't do that. And of course, unless it's like a wager or 1v1 or something, then obviously if it's just you and that person, or if it's the top 2 scenario, and but if there's other people around, or there could be other people around, don't be exposed like this. But let's say, for the example that this person is, it's going to be the same thing as kind of last time, except for this time, you can place the ramp, and now they're completely, it's called box like a fish. They're not going anywhere. All of this is yours. And if you were, in a real game, you probably aren't building out of wood when you're in a fight. You shouldn't, since it's the weakest material. You might be building out of stone. They're not getting out of here super easily. These are, they're stuck. And so now you have this easy kill. You can they're completely exposed, and you have everything. So that's, if someone's outside of your box, if you can place these really quickly, which, I actually can't place them very well, but boom, they're trapped. They're not going anywhere, and they're in your control. And that's kind of how you turn the fight around. That's kind of what I was saying, outplaying your opponent or playing smarter. It's, because now you are on the defensive. Maybe you are lower HP. Regardless of all of that, you now have the advantage in the fight, and so they are trapped. They're not going anywhere. And now you play it smart. You make smart, protected edits that are going to keep you safe and get you the kill. So the other way that you might be pushed though is maybe they're not going for your wall. Maybe they're going, maybe they're up here and they're going for your cone, right? So the best thing to do with this is if you're down here and they're going for your cone, let's say they're going for this tile of your cone, you could edit up and shoot them. And that, you could do something, but you're taking it a 50-50, which is never a smart decision in Fortnite or anything, because while there's a 50% chance of winning, there's a 50% chance of losing. And like we kind of said, if you're on the defense, you're lower health, and so it's less than a 50-50. It's probably more like a 30-70, with a 30 in your favor. So what I would do is, the smartest thing is to relocate. So first thing, I'd place some walls to block him off. So he's up here pickaxing my cone. He now has to pickaxe my wall too. So it buys me some time, you know. So you place those, reset the floor, and relocate. And now I would actually take this time when he's kind of focused on something else to go up and take height. You now have the position on him. By this point, he may have known. He might have placed something above himself or something. But either way, you have the high ground on him. You relocated. You're in a better spot. You can box up, pop your minis, and heal up. And so that's kind of the end of that story. So the most important thing, I guess, to remember in that case is know that if someone is taking your roof, relocate. That's kind of the main message. So let's say for the last example that I'm going to give on defensive is, let's say your opponent, I should have built that on brick. Your opponent's up there. He's on height. You're here. You're kind of in shambles, right? You just, let's say maybe you just got a kill. Maybe you're weak. Maybe you're healing. This guy's targeting you. He's giving you a bad time. So there's not a lot you could really do. If he's spraying your box, you know, you hold your builds and you keep moving. Don't stay in the same place, because the longer you're in one spot, it's you know, try to confuse him. Maybe when you're coming out here, build this and then build this way, so he doesn't really know where you're at, and you just keep going. But one thing that I saw from one of my favorite players was they were getting lasered, or actually they actually weren't. They were getting lasered, but the person that was up there was kind of dumb, and they decided that they were going to jump down onto this player's box. So that's kind of like a psychopath play, because you know, the moment you're jumping into someone's box, you're taking a 50-50. So maybe this player, you know, maybe he knew, the aggressor knew that the person on defense was lower. Maybe he knew they were kind of not ready to fight. So this person's kind of jumping down. And I don't have, hold up, I need to drop my AR. But, you know, let's say that, you know, this player, he's like, okay, I got an easy kill on this person. They're in shambles, so I'm going to jump down. So he's lasering this. So he kind of lasers this and he jumps through. And, you know, keep in mind, we're not on flat ground right now. For this scenario, like, we're up, you know. So maybe you're in authority and you're kind of fighting on the side of the building, or maybe you're in a huge build battle and you just finished and he's a third party that launch padded up there and he tries to laser into your box. Don't, you know, he's trying to take a 50-50 right now with you. He just broke this and he's jumping into your box. Don't take that, because you know, like we said, you're lower health, you're in shambles, you're the weak person in this fight. The best thing I would actually say to do is, if they jump down, they're probably going to land on this side of your floor. Just edit them down. Just let them fall. You know, re-edit your wall, and they just, if you're really high, they just fell to their death. Maybe you didn't get the kill, but that's like the safest, and just that would be the best solution, I think, in this position. If someone lasers into your box, drop them down. I think that's a really smart play. I think it's a really safe play, and personally, I think it's just actually a really cool play. It just really shows off your IQ and your Fortnite gameplay. But that's really all I have for this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching this video. Drop a chicken emoji in the comments if you made it to the end, and let me know if you'd like more content like this. Anyway, that's all from me. I hope this helped, and I'll see you in the next video.